Hello, my name is Catherine Maguire and I'm the infant mental health specialist with Young Knocknaheeny. I'm here in my office this morning to speak with you as parents of babies and toddlers and just to offer you some support and guidance around what has been a very, very stressful situation for so many parents, in fact for all of us. The last few weeks really have brought many changes too for babies and toddlers. For those of you who have babies and toddlers in creches and preschools and playgroups, of course they're all closed, as indeed are the schools for your older children. So that means your parents, your babies and toddlers are at home with you, and that's wonderful too. But it places increased demand on you as a parent, and indeed your babies and your toddlers will want much more of you. So as a parent, it's very natural for you to wonder, what's this like for my baby? What's it like for my toddler? What it must be on their mind at the moment with so much changes in routine. We know, and babies tell us quite a lot about what they think and feel through their emotions, through their behaviour, and particularly as toddlers, through their play. They can also tell us a lot about how they think and feel through their senses. In other words, the way they sense how you are. And at the times they can really pick up when their mother or their father are feeling stressed or anxious, or probably just in a place where it's so hard to respond. Babies and toddlers can feel so much of what their parents are experiencing through their senses. So what might we want to look out for in a baby and in a toddler when they're in stressful, traumatic situations? Well, first of all, as a baby, what is important to look at is their facial expression. It's often much more sad and much more listless, and doesn't show that range of wonderful expressions that we so know is available in babies in that first year of life. We often find that they're more listless and they're not as responsive, and they may look away and not want to look at you, maybe not want to be held, feeling irritable, not responsive as they would be normally to you. We can also see changes in their sleep patterns, in their feeding patterns, and they're harder to settle and to soothe and to calm. We can see similar traits too in toddlers. Toddlers may be very clingy for a change, not wanting to separate, very hard for you to go down the hall and go to the toilet without them chasing you. They want to be beside you all the time. We often find their play very upset, very repetitive. They want to keep their doll beside them all the time, or they just keep playing the same game. We can also find them much more irritable and harder to soothe. And we say all the time that behaviour has meaning. It's just their way of telling us everything isn't all right. And no more than your baby as well, they can have changes in their sleep routine. They can be harder to settle and get down to sleep at night, where in the past it might be just okay for them to sleep very, very easily and get off to sleep. Now they're much more fussy, and sometimes they can wake up at night with nightmares or just feeling scared. And it's really just a stress response, their body telling them this is a hard time. They can be picky as well, not wanting to eat, not wanting to finish their meals. So these are just the range of behaviours that we see in this age group, and they are what we expect in very stressful situations. So what can you do as a parent? How can you help? Well, one of the things that we want first and foremost is to respond quickly to babies and toddlers when they're in distress. We know especially babies and toddlers can't manage big feelings, distressing feelings on their own. They really need you as their mum and their dad to sort out those feelings. They need an adult caregiver. Babies and toddlers under 3 years cannot manage big feelings that are distressing on their own. In fact, we know that capacity to manage distressing emotions and feelings and the ability to regulate themselves doesn't actually happen until they're about 3.5 to 4 years old. Other things to consider as well is the importance of routine, keeping routines as predictable and consistent as possible. Of course, there'll be times when your baby or toddler may show behaviours that you need to change your routine, and do so by all means. Make that change. Be flexible. As parents, your baby and toddler won't expect you to be perfect. They're just looking for you to be good enough, and they're very, very forgiving. It is a stressful time for you as well. So watch, listen, pay attention, and just check what's going on for them. When you look particularly at babies and you have to go and to soothe and to see what's the matter, there's a few things you can do that are really helpful. One of the first things for a small baby is your face, your facial expression, and the quality of how you respond to them. There's nowhere more interesting or fascinating for a baby than its parent's face. And you can use your face to really soothe and settle those distressing feelings and emotions that they may have. An example of this is when your baby's very, very listless and sad. You can up your facial expression and be a little bit more animated, just to help them, show them that you really see you're sad at the moment and mum wants to help you feel better. You can also similarly use your facial expression when they're very upset and very, very tearful. And we can do that by just putting a concerned look on your face, and saying, Dad sees you're very upset. Dad sees you're distressed, you're in pain, you're sore, you're teething. So a facial expression is one of the ways that babies come to know what they're thinking and feeling by the look on their parent's face. Another thing that's important when you're trying to soothe your baby is your tone of voice and the quality of your tone of voice. So soft, warm, gentle voice tone really helps a baby to feel soothed and feel calm. So not so many words, just gentle, soft words to describe perhaps what you're seeing. Mummy's here, Daddy's with you, Nana wants to see what's the matter. These words really give your baby, a felt experience that their feelings are understood. And after all, we say all of the time, behaviour has meaning, and that's our way of showing that we really understand what a baby is thinking and feeling at the moment. Another thing to consider is making your body language available and positioning yourself where your baby can see your facial expression. So getting down to their level, holding your face in a way that your baby has access to it. So it's not so much following your baby's facial movements, but you holding still and letting your baby see you and getting a real full image of your face, your facial expression, and making that available. There are similar things that a toddler also finds important and valuable at this time, and they're not dissimilar to what I've just described for a baby. So tone of voice, facial expression, again, getting down to their level, kneeling down so that you have full eye contact with them, and again, giving them soft, calming words to say that you understand what it is they're feeling. So looking, listening, watching to see what it is that's caused the distress and naming that. And by naming it and by being reassuring, offering gentle hugs and cuddles, that way your toddler gets to feel that you really do know what's happening for them. So keep your routines as regular as you can at the moment. But like I've said, if you do need to change them, if new situations arise and there are challenges, by all means, explain that to your toddler. And sometimes it's important to say to them that change happens and that it's not always possible to keep things the same. Of course, all of this is simple and easy to say to you, but it's only as good as how you are at the present moment. So self-care as a parent, as a caregiver, is going to be such an important part if you're to be truly available to your baby and your toddler. So at the current time, when we speak about self-care, we're talking about strategies that help you feel better. when there is stress in our lives, we shouldn't carry that on our own. We want and we need help, and it's important to ask for it. So do talk about how you're feeling with your partner or with someone that is close to you, and use and access supports that enable you feel calm and secure, especially in this time of uncertainty. Take time to yourself. Make time to chat to somebody that's important to you. Relaxation techniques are very helpful, particularly if you're feeling anxious. And at the current time, there's a lot of anxiety as a result of the coronavirus and the unpredictability of this time, because we're not so certain when everything's going to be back to normal, to the way we were used to. So relaxation techniques, deep breathing exercises, which I'm sure you've heard of before, taking really big deep breaths in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth a number of times during the day, particularly if you're feeling anxious. You probably have your own set of routines that you love to do when you're feeling stressed and when you want time to yourself. The important thing is to make time, really, to have that special time to self-calm. So making time for a cup of tea, making time to read a book, leaving time for yourself to watch a film or to check your social media. However, don't spend too long on social media, and don't check all the updates about the coronavirus. And get some sleep. Get plenty of sleep, actually. Try to get to bed early and get as much sleep as possible. Rest is really essential at the current time. For you to be truly available to your parents, as a parent, to your babies and toddlers, you need to self-care. And that way you will provide the best of care to your baby and to your toddler. And remember, we're talking about good enough here. Your babies and toddlers don't expect you to be perfect. They just expect you to be good enough. And by being good enough, you will provide the best and the most solid foundation for your babies and toddlers at this time. So take care.